Islam. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother has given ye suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thine own blood. If thy brother is in adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. At this time, I'd like to recite the Moorish American prayer, the source from which we draw our strength. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Jew Ali. Amen. First off, I'd like to rise, walking into Jerusalem, just like John, giving praise to Allah, the author, the creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible, the one who stretcheth forth the heaven with his hands, who have described with his fingers the courses of the stars, who set his bounds to the ocean that it cannot pass, and said to the stormy winds, be still. I'd like to give honor to the lily of the valley, the bright and morning star. Talk about none other than our holy and illustrious prophet, Noble Jew Ali. I'd like to give honor to Prophet Noble Jew Ali because it was he who reached down into the watery grave of Lucifer, Satan, devil, dragon, and the beast, and set me back upright on our feet again. I'd like to give honor to all of those and honor to all of you that have and will aid and assist us in this our divine and gigantic mission, the uplifting of fallen humanity. Last but not least, I'd like to give a special honor to Effort, because so many of us don't even try. At this time, I'd like to read from the Moorish Holy Quran, the book of the seven seals, that none was able to open, and read from its sacred pages the messages of purity and love. Today, I'm going to read from chapter 3. And the reason why I want to read from chapter 3 today is because I'm here with Brother Carter Bay from Virginia, living here in Portland, Oregon, and he's thinking about joining the Moorish Science Temple of America. And in my lesson to him today, I'm explaining that in this Moorish Science Temple of America, there's a national and divine movement. Ain't no such thing as the national side. Ain't no such thing as just the divine side. But there's a national and divine side because we're talking about Noble Jew Ali. And I was telling Brother Carter Bay also that when we went into Spain in 711, we went into Spain to bring Europe out of the Dark Ages. And one of the ways that we was bringing Europe out of the Dark Ages is bringing them out the cave. And when we brought them out of the cave, we were letting them know that you don't be doing no licking, you don't be doing no sucking. And I was telling the brother also when I first come up, because I'm 73, and when I first grew up, all the older brothers that came before me, there were certain divine lessons that was taught to us by them. But once Rome took charge and took our concepts and our ideologies, now we doing everything and we become European in thought. Because the whole world once was known as Asia. And now we have two formulations in the human family. We have Asiatic and we have European. But all of the lessons that Noble Jew Ali brought to us is Asiatic. Now what you mean by that? Well, I listened to Kamala Harris, and she's running for president of the United States. And her and this dude Trump, they're going back and forth to who is she? Is she this or who she's that? But the whole world know who she are, because who she is, because we know the nationality of her father. And when you begin to talk about the nationality of her father, you got to go back to the slave trade. And when you go back to the slave trade, then you have to understand that in 1492, when the last stronghold of the Moors fell in Granada, Spain, then Rome took charge. And at that time, they took my Jesus. They buried Jesus in Vatican Square. And when they buried Jesus in Vatican Square, they took on the name. And when they took on the name, they took everything that belonged to us. In my conversation with the brother, I have him reading the book. And the book that I had him reading, it was saying in the book that Mary was a Jewish girl. It's in the book. It's in the book that we have, the literature that Drew Ali gave us. They said that Mary was a Jewish girl. But now, you done stole Mary's birthright. And all these European cultures and nations and ideologies, now they calling themselves European. Now you done stole my birthright. You fighting against it. You talking about Jew this. You talking about Jew that. And you know through scientific study and investigation, when you say Jewish, you're coming from an Afrocentric perspective and not a European. But you just took my birthright. Just like you stole my Jesus, you took my birthright. That's why when I was coming up, a lot of brothers was in the military that they didn't go to Vietnam. They went to Germany. And they had a lot of people going to Germany. Why? Because that's one of the places that they call themselves Jews now, because they was a European nation. But let me read from this Moorish Holy Quran. I want to read from the Moorish Holy Quran because we're talking about now the Last Supper. And when Jesus was with his disciples at the Last Supper, what did he feed them? He fed them food for thought. So when Noble Drew Ali found the Moorish Science Temple of America, bringing us back our decent nature, he gave us one of these chapters. So I want to read from chapter 3. Because when you talk about chapter 3, you're talking about the Triune, which is 3. And it reads on this wise. Elihu's lesson, the unity of life. Again, Elihu met his peoples in the sacred grove and said, no man live unto himself, for every living thing is bound by cord to every other living thing. Now let me stop here for a minute, because it says every living thing is bound by cord to every other living thing. So now you got the living and you got the dead. And we're going to get into this today to talk about the living and talking about the dead. That's why whenever the great God Allah sends one to redeem us from our sinful ways and to warn us of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth, we're talking about two forces now. We're talking about the high force and we're talking about the lower force. And it said, bless up the pure in heart, for they will love and not demand love in return. They will not do to other men what they will not have other men do unto them. There are two selves, the higher self and the lower self. The higher self is human spirit, clothed with soul, made in the form of Allah. The lower self, the carnal self, the body of desires, is a reflection of higher self, distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. The lower self is an illusion and will pass away. The higher self is Allah in man and will not pass away. The higher self is the embodiment of truth. The lower self is truth reversed, and so is falsehood manifest. The higher self is justice, mercy, love, and right. The higher self is the mother of virtues and the harmonies of life. The lower self is rich in promises, but poor in blessedness and peace. It offers pleasure, joy, satisfying gain, but gives unrest, misery, and death. It gives men apples that are lovely to the eye and pleasant to the smell. Their cores are full of bitterness and gall. If you would ask me what to study, I would say yourselves. And when you well studied yourself, then we'll ask you what to study next, and we'll reply yourselves. He who knows well his lower self knows the illusions of the world, knows well the things that pass away. Thrice blessed is the man who has made purity and love his very own. He has been ransomed from the pearls of the lower self and is himself his higher self. Men seek salvation from an evil that deem a living monster of the netherworld, and they have gods that are but demons in disguise, all powerful, yet full of jealousy and hate and lust, whose favors must be bought with costly sacrifice of fruit and of the lives of birds and animals of humankind. Thus we just had a reading of the Moorish Holy Quran, the book of the seven seals that were finally prepared by our holy prophet, Noble Durrell, for our earthly and our divine salvation. There's been a misunderstanding of some things that come up in the Moorish Science Temple of America from my perspective. And that is, you know, you have two different sides now. You have some people say they with the national side, and you have some people say they with the divine side. See, they say that it's true, the sides in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but the Holy Prophet Noble Durrell gave us a lesson on that. Both of them got to come together. You can't have one without the other, because he said divine and national. See, this is where the civil rights come in at. They say the civil rights issue was a non-political issue, and when you begin to talk about civil rights, you're talking about a civil issue. And we're not talking about those civil issues, we're talking about a divine issue, because 2/5 was missing. They say 5/5 is a whole all day in mathematics. But now we have 3/5, and 2/5 are missing. And nobody else could talk about this other than in the Moorish Science Temple of America. What are the other 2/5 that are missing? The other 2/5 that are missing is your nationality and your divine creed. That's why when Martin Luther King, our good brother, talked about non-political issues, talking about civil rights, they got rid of them. And when you talk about civil rights was a non-political issue, it's not even an issue you could take to the UN. But you hear this, what Noble Durrell said about the divine and national. And I don't have to read it. I'm going to quote it this time, because in the Moorish Science Temple we was taught to quote it. It said, our divine and national movement stand for the Pacific grand principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. And the Prophet Noble Durrell I'm applying to all loyal, faithful Moors members and the American citizens to help him in his great uplifting acts of uplifting fallen humanity among the Asiatic race and nation. For he have suffered much and severely in the past through misunderstanding of what the movement was dedicated to. It is the great God Allah alone that guides the destiny of this divine and national movement. I know that all true American citizens are identified by national and national decent name in order to answer and apply to the free national constitution of the free national republic of the United States of America. The Prophet Noble Durrell is going to help this national government For without a free national name with the decent flag of your forefathers, there is not a national and divine title of the government in which you live. This is from your true and divine prophet, Noble Drew Ali, to all Americans and foreign sympathizers. Prophet Noble Drew Ali is the founder. So we talking about the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America is Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And when we begin to talk about Jesus, who was born in Bethlehem of Judah in the house of David, when we talk about him, we're talking about Drew Ali. We're talking about the house of David. We're talking about the bloodline. Because in the house of David, you got to go back to Abraham, Boaz by Ruth, Jesse, King David, Solomon, Hezekiah, and Joseph by Mary. Now, when we joined the Moorish Science Temple and everybody got 101 questions, what I just said, I quoted it. Because it's imperative that you learn your basic literature. That's just like I was with my granddaughter the other day when I was in Washington, D.C. And she had a book she got, and she know her whole alphabet. And in that alphabet, we say A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, P. So same thing in the Moorish Science Temple of America. We have a lot of brothers and we have a lot of sisters grumping out our more, but you got to get into the basic literature to understand what Noble Drew Ali brought us. Because the book say whenever a nation is in need for a prophet, Allah will send one. And he sent one to us in this era of time. And the reason why he had to send Noble Drew Ali, because if he didn't, we'd be calling ourselves black. We'd be calling ourselves colored. We be calling ourselves Negro. Now, nobody talks about this, but here in the Moorish Science Temple of America, but through scientific study and investigation, when you check out the Moors, when we went into Spain in 711, we was Moors. Truth don't change. Man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extend beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. So we went into Spain. We say we going into Spain to give Europe civilization. Now, I showed you a picture. Everything I'm talking about is somebody showed you. I showed you a picture of the brother Walt D. Muhammad, Elijah Muhammad's son. And he was showing the picture. And he said, man, my father, when he first taught any kind of lecture or anything in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we had on the Moorish dress. Because man today is what his forefathers were yesterday. And there's no one who is able to change man from the decent nature of his mother and father unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator, Allah himself. I'm quoting from the book. So now he was teaching the lesson because we needed to hear it. Not only do we need to hear that, because when Noble Drew Ali passed in 29, you had everybody running here, there, and everywhere, and a lot of them, they call themselves Moorish Americans, they start calling themselves black man now. They start getting the paycheck. They start being on the payroll. And the world today, everybody calling themselves black. All of our brothers is actors and all of these different signs. You had to do something else. So now you calling yourself black when you know through scientific study and investigation, when we went into Spain and gave Europe civilization, we was known as Moors. Truth don't change. And we're not able to deal with anything dealing with reparation until we proclaim our nationality. Because you can't get no reparation under nothing else, because through the advent of slavery, talking about the Atlantic slave trade and everything, we were Moors. Truth don't change. And rough, man, because I remember when I was a Negro. I'm that old. And then they called me colored. And then they called me black. And they killed Martin Luther King in 68, and now we black. And now we're Afro-American. But truth don't change. Everybody have a nationality in this said government except you and me. Except the Negro, the colored, and the black. And this is part of the slave trade. You look over there, they done changed the whole world around. And right now, I heard Trump say, I don't know what her nationality is, right? Because when you call yourself black, don't nobody know your nationality anyway. You done accepted something that's not you. And the girl say, call me Afro-American, because Africa is a continent. What nation in Africa do you come from? Africa is a continent, and the slave trade came through when we went into Spain. It's the literature. We got all kind of books. I'm telling the brother that's on the show today with me, he got some cousins, some brothers that grew up with him right down there in Virginia, the Lindale twin. I gave him some books. And right now, they're going to tell you everything that you need to know. These brothers are sharp. And the truth don't change. In all other governments, when man is born and raised and asked his name of national descent, if he failed to use it, he is misused, imprisoned, or exiled. So this is why we honor Prophet Noble Drew Ali, because when Noble Drew Ali came, there was no other organization in America teaching anything about religion. There's no other Islamic organization in America legally established teaching about religion other than the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. And listen to this. Noble Drew Ali gave us a prayer. And that's the first thing when anybody joined the Moorish Temple of America, just like in the church. The first thing you learn is the prayer. And our prayer say, Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Amen. But the reason why I said that was because nobody was teaching Islam in America until the advent of Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Now, if we wouldn't have lost our nationality, then there wouldn't have been a need for Noble Drew Ali, because we already had the spirit in us from our perspective, but Allah had to send Noble Drew Ali to redeem us from that which was lost, to redeem us of our sinful ways, and to warn us of the great wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. So it is a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the name and principles that allude to slavery. Who was the first president of the United States? It couldn't have been Abraham Lincoln, because Abraham Lincoln was the general in the army, and he crossed the Delaware. And when the brother was John Hanson, was the first president, looked just like Brother Carter Bay over there. So you got to understand that we taught the European nations. We taught Rome, gave them civilization. We had the Spirit of God in us. Right now, I'm looking at a TV show, and on this TV show, they showing some young brothers and some young sisters, and they said that they was from Africa. Nigeria, Ghana, a lot of other places in Africa they say they are from, but when you look at them, they look just like European. And that's who they are, European. But you took my birthright, just like you stole my Jesus. You took my Jesus. Now you calling yourself Mary, you calling yourself Ruth, you calling yourself Elizabeth, and Ruth was a Moabite. And the Moorish Americans are the descendants of the ancient Moabites who inhabited the northwestern and the southwestern shores of Africa. We talking some powerful stuff now, because it's gone. Ain't too many people teaching this. I heard a brother teaching today, Clinton Bay. And he was talking about that the nearest place to meet God is in the heart. And in the still small voice, he speaks. So if there's two selves, you got to crush one under thy feet and tame the other to thy purpose. And for what purpose was the Moorish Temple of America founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. And how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish America? By teaching them to be themselves. But if he's teaching you to be themselves, who are you? You're Asiatic Muslim. Why are you Asiatic Muslim? You're Asiatic Muslim because a Muslim is one who submits his will to Allah. Now, if you say that you're a Muslim because you submit your will to Allah, how do you submit your will to Allah? You submit your will to Allah by living love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You submit your will to God by living according to the fruits of the Spirit. But now listen, it say the Lord self breeds hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harm. I got a few brothers, they no longer here in flesh. They no longer here, they're gone. But these is few of the meanest brothers I ever known. These brothers gave their life a willing sacrifice. They didn't do things diametrically opposed to what the law said, and they tried to work and walk through that straight and narrow path. But you Ali said to us, and we all got to understand that. You keep trying to raise everybody up. You keep trying to raise, so you better get them babies you got, because you know what you Ali say. He said, many are called, but only a few chosen. But I heard the Sheik say a long time ago, when they say a many are called and a few are chosen, then some was sent. And some of the ones that was sent to redeem from whatever they trying to redeem and got paid to do it. So here in the Moorish Science Temple of America, we also have a chapter 7. Chapter 7. And I want to show you something in chapter 7. And in chapter 7 is the lesson that the prophet gave us. And in verse 27, 28, 29, 30, and 31, they always teach this sometime in the movement. And 27 says, salvation is a ladder reaching from the heart of men to the heart of Allah. It has 3 steps. Belief is first, and this is what man thinks perhaps is truth. It said, and faith is next, and this is what man knows is truth. It said, belief is lost in faith, and in fruition, faith is lost. And man is saved when he has reached the epic life, when he and Allah are one. And the way that you and Allah become one, because you got to go in silent meditation. You got to talk to God. The preacher can't get to God for you. Can't nobody else get to God for you. The nearest place to meet God is in the heart. And we're not talking about the heart that pumps blood. We're talking about the heart of the mind. And where's the heart of the mind? The heart of the mind is all over. And this is what we was taught. That's why Moorish Science Temple of America is so special. Because you find a lot of people, they run to the Moorish Science Temple and just get a nationality card, but they have yet to study the prophet. And when you study the prophet, then you studying yourself approved, because he needs you. We know a many are called, a few are chosen, some are sent. And it's so hard, because some of the things that we do and we got to stop doing, we're going to have the answer up to it. We say, my man just had somebody in his family who just died. And they say, man, he just died, but he with God now. And he's sitting on the right side of God. That's unintelligent, so unprofessional. Because once you pass, you still got work to do. It says many ages, man gonna tarry until all his lessons are learned. So all these things that we went through coming up, all these things that we doing that's diametrically opposed to what we been doing, we got to overcome these things. We got to let go. You say you want to go up there and sit on the right side of the throne with your aunt and with your grandmom. The only way you can do that is give your life a will and sacrifice and talk to God and go in your mind and realize the thing that, because man, I done did everything. Ain't too many things I haven't done. And this is why I had to get up here to sit down and talk to myself, to give myself a chance. Because many ages, man gonna tarry until all his lessons are learned. And all these trials and tribulations that I've been through, I'm gonna have to overcome it. I'm going to have to overcome these things. I'm going to have to give them back. It said, give back to Caesar what belonged to Caesar. We talking about the thought pattern. When we talking about the thought pattern, we talking about the thought pattern of hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harm, and the nearest place to meet it. That's why I gave you the lesson that we all have to learn. It's in our holy question. It said, will you give in brief? Listen to this. The line genealogy through which Jesus came. And man, it said Abraham. But you know what we found out? Abraham wasn't always Abraham. He first was Abram, and then he became Abraham. And when he became Abraham, this is when he found grace in the eyes of God. You want to take that from me, though. Then we say Boaz by Ruth. We're looking at Boaz now. And we're looking at Ruth now. And we know we're looking at Ruth because you got to look at Ruth because Ruth is the Moabite. See, we Asiatic speaking. We're not European speaking. We're not coming from a European perspective because there was a time when the whole Europe was Asiatic. The whole world was Asia. Ain't but one. You can't serve two masters at the same time. And the reason why the world is like it is today, why all these wars are going on, because you done stole a birthright. You trying to keep a birthright. You trying to do all these things you want to do because you took it from me. You done took my Jesus. Now you got his name. You called him. You call yourself Jew. And Mary was the Jew. Jesus, that's our bloodline. But you took that. You took that from me. You got to give it back, though. Because right now, the first level of the moral, we're going to talk about that in the class because this is a powerful lesson that's coming up about Millie Eel, Small Bay, Lovett Bay, and Former Bay, and C. Kirkland Bay, F. Nelson Bay, J. Blakely Bay, Brother R. Loveville, R. Jones Bay. And we're going to have to talk about these two different grand bodies because something had transpired, and you got to leave that with these brothers here that you're talking to about the prophet because it ain't but one. That's why the prophet said in the question that asked me, why there's so many different temples? The prophet said every subordinate temple under the grand major temple. It's the form of under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and create their own laws and customs as long as they're in conjunction with the laws of the holy prophet of the grand temple. And once we realize that and stop letting King Ambition become a foe that we must fight, we're going to get some work done. Then we could step to Rome and talk to him the way that he needed to be talked to because they're giving billions of dollars to all of these different countries over in the East and the West and everywhere else. And right now, we struggling. We struggling, and everything you got from me. Even the alligator shoes brother got on, they got it from Africa. Ain't no alligators in Washington. You know what I mean? They went there and took everything, got everything that belonged to us, but we got a lot of work to do. I'm so honored to still be on earth right now because I'm able to teach nationality and divine creed. I don't sound good as you, but I don't want to sound good as you. I just want to keep teaching nationality and divine creed. Because nationality is the order of the day. And the only black flag that I know is the one that kills roaches. And when you keep calling yourself black, you won't give it to your babies. You won't give it to your grandbabies because your mother gave it to you. And your daddy gave it to you. And they call themselves black. It's so disrespectful. But one person might be the one to stand up and say, hold it. Nationality is the order of the day. But you ain't gonna get it right now because a lot of them still getting that money. That's what we were talking about. They give Drew Ali a lot of money, man. Teach the people that they was black. People got a lot of money to do that. And that's all right. Because Allah alone is guiding the destiny of this divine and national movement. Drew Ali said he's going to make this European enforce his law. So right now we just going through a trial and we going through a tribulation. But after the storm come the rainbow. And there's many different colors in the rainbow. And we talking about Jesus in the rainbow. We talking about Boaz in the rainbow. You know, we got 4 sacred schools of thought. And the four sacred schools of thought is Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. That's the four sacred schools of thought. When you look at your circle 7, when you look at the 7, that's what you see on there. You see the four sacred schools of thought of Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. But then you got politically, religiously, socially, and economically. Politically, religiously, socially, and economically. And there's a few others that go with those four sacred schools of thought, because these are where things are made of thought and where we build up character. So now we got to get into chapter 3. We got to get into chapter 7. And the reason why we got to get in these chapters is because we got to make ourselves approved. When Durrell talking about the high self, the lower self, the body of desires is a reflection of the higher self that's distorted by the murky ethers of the flesh. When Durrell give us all of that, he's telling us this is what we have to become. Because the nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart. And in a still small voice, he speaks to us. But you know what? What we have to understand, and we just finished talking about when we have family members that pass, and we keep talking about we want to see them again. And why do you want to see them again? Because y'all took that money together, y'all was hustling together, and y'all do. Why you want to see them again? Or have they lived a moral and clean life, and you see now that this is the way? Because ain't but one way. See, it's two of them, but you got to give one of them up. That's why the book says you got to crush one under thy feet and tame the other to thy purpose. And for what purpose was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? For the uplifting of fallen humanity. And how did the prophet begin to uplift the Moorish America? By teaching them to be themselves. So back again, it say, who made you? It say Allah. It say Allah. Who is Allah? It say Allah is the Father of the universe. It say, can we see him? It say no. It say, where's the nearest place we could meet him? In the heart. It say, who is Noble Jew Ali? Say, he is Allah's prophet. It say, what is a prophet? It say, a prophet is a thought of Allah manifested in the flesh. It say, what is the duty of a prophet? To save nations from the wrath of Allah. It say, who is the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America? Noble Jew Ali. Say, what year was the Moorish Science Temple of America founded? 1913 AD, where? Newark, New Jersey. So this is where the Moorish Science Temple of America founded, 1913 in New Jersey, before he moved to Chicago. And this is history that we have to understand, because right now, we got a lot of brothers. I like a lot of them. Matter of fact, one of them we had up here. When I first got here to Portland, Oregon, they had a brother, Dr. Umar Johnson, come up here to talk to the school system. He wanted to talk to the school system about this homosexuality, same thing we talking about. That's why I like this brother. Let me stop for a second. Brother Dr. James Lynch-Bey. And years ago, I was in preparation in Sept, and I become the Grand Sheik of that temple. And one of the things he said, now you know, we started this thing all these years ago. It's one thing that we don't do. Now you might find a lot of brothers do it because they're weak, but one thing we don't do, we don't deal with the things that we went into Europe to tell them to stop doing. The reason why we went into Europe, the reason why we went into the came to Europe to bring them out of the dark age, this is something that we don't do, and it takes a strong brother. That's why the prophet said, many are called and a few are chosen. Ain't but a few. Ain't but a few in every era of time. But God is working, and every spirit don't have to be of Asiatic. It could be a Chinese. Because we saying Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. And all of these are prophets of God. And they are prophets in different eras of time. We are of the same spirit. It's a try the spirit, test the spirit, and see are you from the same spirit. So you got to check and see you from the same spirit. You run into a brother and you run into a sister, and y'all start dialoguing with one another. But come to find out, y'all are not of the same spirit, only because the trials and tribulations that you've been through, I haven't been through them yet. The trials and tribulations that I've been through, you haven't been through yet. But in order to be able to do the work that we're talking about doing, certain things we just got to let go. See, we got to rise above the flesh. And how can you rise above the flesh? Easy, because it's not in flesh to think, and it's not in bones to reason. Your flesh don't do your thinking for you. Your bones don't do your reasoning for you. Now we're talking about brothers in Egypt, and all of those days before us, when our forefathers was teaching the everlasting gospel, certain characteristics wasn't a part of us. And a bad mistake we made when we went into Europe. We gonna go into Europe and tell Europe we're gonna bring them out of the dark ages and tell them to learn to love instead of hate. And look at it right now. Man, they can't wait to do the thing. All my friends, most of my friends right now, they licking and sucking and doing everything that's diametrically opposed, and you know better. You acting just like the European. That's who you have become. You're Asiatic in thought. Thought's the cause of it all. But man, today is what his forefathers were yesterday. So I'm honored. I'm honored to be able to come before the Moorish Voice, the television broadcast, with my friend here, from Virginia, and talk to you about the last prophet in these days and time, Prophet Noble Ali, who is Allah prophet. Now we keep talking about prophet Joe, because you got 100 prophets in the Moorish Temple. You got prophet this and prophet that, and some Drew Ali supposed to say to you, I'm back. Drew Ali was gone 7 days. 7 days Drew Ali was gone, and brother jumped up talking about I'm back. What new did you bring that Noble Drew Ali didn't? Now it might be. Now they got 101s and 102s and 103s, but let's deal with this 101 first. Because when you're dealing with this 101, you're dealing with the 101. The high over the low, the rich over the poor, and the wise over the ignorant. That's 101, the 101. That's why we got 101 questions here. And once you study these 101 questions, you make yourself approved. Because Allah sent Noble Drew Ali. And Noble Drew Ali probably didn't want to come. But he had to come. Allah sent him. He sent him to tell us, because nobody else told us that we wasn't Negro, colored, and black. Nobody told us that we was Moors unless your name is Noble Drew Ali. Nobody told us that. And think about it, brother. We want to go back to school now, because you got great-grandbabies now. You got great-grandbabies now. You on your way out. We on our way out. And are we not going to give them this science before we go? Because right now they call themselves black. They call themselves black. I told my granddaughter, and when she grabbed me the first day, I'm in science though, I say, you are a queen. You are a Nigerian queen. So I got to tell her that, because every time I be around, I got to tell her that, because every time I'm around my family, and they got degrees, they got degrees, they got college degrees, a lot of them, but they call themselves black. They call themselves black. And it hurt, because during the advent of slavery, one Christian brother recently posted something. The only thing I ain't like about it, he told me, you ever heard of the blacks called Moors? See, that's all right. But he's saying that the Moors are the ones who ruled Spain. And you don't know how good it feels. It feels good that I got a chance to look at this and see. Because when I come in the temple, people was getting paid. They were still getting paid by the government. Praise Allah. Praise Allah. Hey, Mo, will you put a chair right over here for a minute? Yes, sir. I'm on my show right now. We have a brother with us. We ready to come on this show. This is our brother, Lynch-Bey. He's getting ready to run for the mayor. Running for mayor of Portland, Oregon. So yes, we can close out. We got a few more minutes. All right. And Durrell said he come for the young and yet born, the old could fall if they want. I'm in my 70s. So talk to us and just tell us something that you, but give us some blessings, brother.
Well, I would say this is that, peace of society dependeth on justice. And when I think about the peace of society and then it depending on justice, it means that there's a requirement, there's a responsibility and a duty for us to enforce these principles to be expressed. And these principles that we have been expressing to you on Moorish Voice is love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. I like to call it the fivefold ministry. Fivefold ministry in reference to the Bible in the book of Ephesians. It's teachers, preachers, prophets, apostles, evangelists. So these messages and these principles are to be brought to the four corners of the world, to all nations, which is what an angel is used for. So I think it's important that we continue to reflect and internalize these things that Allah has blessed us with, so that way we can be the message that we bring. Salam.
Praise Allah. See, Durrell said he come for the young and yet born. He said the old could follow if they want. And this brother here, he's running for the mayor position, but he's conscious of who he is. He knows his nationality. He knows that he's not Negro, colored, and black. He knows that these names were given to slaves by slaveholders in 1779 and lasted until 1865 during the time of slavery. But this brother's conscious. Oh man, even if you want to, I was telling the brother about his vegetables. When we first met, they selling they got the, oh man, there's so much. And this is one of our younger brothers here. So I'm honored. I'm honored he coming in, he's getting ready to do a show here, talking to you about the cares of the world. And he just said, talking to you about the 5 principles. See, there's 5 principles and then there's 5 folds. There's 5 folds of men that Durrell gave us, just like the 5 principles. That we have to let go of the 5 folds and become the 5 principles. Because the 5 principles is what gets you close to God. The nearest place to meet Allah is in the heart. And in the still small voice, he speaks. And he who hears is still. So we are honored. We are honored to be able to come again to this Moorish Voice broadcast. And this Moorish Voice broadcast is for anyone that have something that they want to talk about that's conducive and to our growth and our development. All you have to do is ask to come on the Moorish Voice. I prefer you to come on the Moorish Voice anyway. I don't want you to come on the Negro and black and colored voice. But what I want to say before I get off the show, the Cook Bay brothers out of Chicago, these were the brothers that took my instructor to the chamber back in the early days. And he was the first brother. It's on the video. I said everybody caught that Durrell took his black fez off his head and put it on this brother's head. And we was given this lesson years ago, all of us, and a lot of brothers who started the National Security Force, all of them say, man, I want to give my life a willing sacrifice. I want to give all these things up to get out here and get our people to learn who they are. And all of them start wearing black fez after they become whatever you have to do to become that. But yeah, it's a book that's out now, and it's a lesson that we're going to have to teach. And we get ready to teach it, and I want to reiterate it because we have a brother getting ready to proclaim his nationality. And being that he had to be getting ready to proclaim his nationality, one of the first lessons I'm going to have to give him, as I said earlier, is about Millie Ill, Small Bay, Lovett Bay, and Foreman Bay. But the lesson that go with that is C. Kirkland Bay, F. Nelson Bay, and J. Blakely Bay. Read why I'm saying all that is, because I just showed the brother a picture of a brother named Page Hill. He's passed now. One of my best friends. We was together the day before I left Portland, Oregon. And his father and his mother was in some pictures. And he in the picture too with this dude, C. Kirkland Bay. And it's very important, but I want to share this with everybody that's listening to this show. I went on Moorish Home #1 back around years ago. and I met with the grand governors of the colony, you know, and we did a lot of talking about a lot of things. But what she said to me, she said, one thing, I said, sister, one thing that if you will leave me with when I'm leaving here, she said, we wish brothers like you was around with the prophet because they would not have been able to get him. And that hurts me. They got our prophet, Mo. They got him. They tried for many years. Durrell told them. And we talked about it all the time. Durrell said, you know they're coming for me again. And when they come for me again, I might not be able to lay around. I'm going to be gone. But see, now he gone, but Kingsley Bey is here. So that's what we talking about. We talking about you leaving these teachings in the hands of someone that's going to carry them. See, you can't serve two masters at the same time. You got to love one and despise the other. And when you talking about that you love the prophet, you're going to have to talk about there's no middleman to intercede. You talking about you going according to the words of the prophet and not nobody else. I remember I was around a lot of brothers, and you had a lot of brothers that was around too, but they was gangsters. So they was in control. And all the brothers that really wanted to say what the prophet said, you couldn't say it because of association. Association bring about assimilation. So brother, whenever you teach the prophet, whenever you come on the Moorish Voice, whenever you go anywhere, you doing your job, because you got 100 North Side Temple of America right now anyway. You got 100 ones say I'm in charge. So whenever you get a chance, teach it, brother. Teach the teachings of the prophet and let the children know it. Because this is about the young and the yet born. Durrell say he come from the young and yet born. He said the old could follow if they want. But he didn't come for us. He come from the young and yet born. When I was your age, I could say that. I can't say it now because I'm old. So I'm honored, Mom. I'm honored to see you. I'm honored that you come to the Moorish Voice, and we get ready. When we close out, we're going to let you get on here and teach more, because we need to hear it. They need to hear. The brother was telling me today, I was up Casons, and he was saying that you might don't get it, but that's not the problem. That's not what we're talking about. You getting it. We're getting that you putting yourself out there so you can get it later on. Because Durrell said he going to make the Europeans enforce his law. That's what we got to understand. All that we see going on right now, Allah's in control. Even like I said, the Jews and all, just like right now. Murray was a Jewish girl. But now Kamala Harris's husband is a so-called Jew, looking just like a European. And when you talk about Jew, you're talking about Asiatic. Because we're not talking about Europe. There's two formulations, Asiatic and European. You one or the other. And when you begin to talk about Asiatic, what continents are you talking about? When you begin to talk about European, what are you talking about? Truth don't change. But more, you got babies. You got a son, I just seen him. Your key is to teach these lessons to the little ones. Because most of these old dudes, they through. They through. They're going to be dead and gone, and then we're going to be dead and gone, and our children is going to be behind us. I'm talking to the brothers I'm with now that I'm going to introduce you to. He got grandbabies, and that's what he's living for. He's living to teach these lessons to the little ones that they might learn to love instead of hate. And this is what the prophet taught us. Noble Durrell is the only one that can actually substantiate the fact of the lessons that he brought. And he said to us that he's not Negro, colored, and black. And he said the only black flag he know, Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water. What did he say? Negro is a name given to a river in West Africa by Moors because it contained black water. He said colored is anything that has been painted, stained, varnished, or dyed. Everything I just quoted is in this book. Everything I just quoted is in this book. This is your basic foundation. You have to know your 101 questions, your divine constitution, bylaw, and your dictionary law, then you ready. You ready. You set for the kingdom of heaven. Because a lot of brothers and a lot of sisters is running around talking about the Moorish Temple to other people, study your lessons. You know, because every round gets higher and higher. And climbing Jacob's ladder, every round gets higher and higher. We're all not on the same ether plane. You got to grow. Growth and development. Every round gets higher and higher. Okay, I thought that. Yes, sir. Praise the. Were you here earlier?
No, sir.
Oh, you talking about somebody else was on Bruce's show.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Praise Allah, Mo. So I'm always honored, Mo, to be able to come through to this Moorish Voice. I've been up here 10 years, brother. I've been dealing with a lot of brothers and sisters up here for 10 years, and it's been a blessing. This is blessed. And you know what we have to understand? Europe reminds me of Portland. Because like I say, and I just taught that the other day, Portland is the only state in the Union that had racism in the Constitution. Did you know that? And that is because we had to be in the house by sundown. They had a sundown law here in Portland, Oregon. And everybody had to be in the house by sundown. And if you wasn't in the house by sundown, you get whipped. See? And then there's been a growth and development. I've seen a change in it. And Portland is a beautiful people, a beautiful place. And most of the people here from Mississippi and other places, they come here to Portland, but Portland, Oregon more. And one time when you go outside and look, everything up here was Asiatic. Europeans was out there, they wasn't in here. When you talking about Portland, you was talking about Asiatic, all up and down MLK. It wasn't none but those of African descent. I was honored to meet with them. And a lot of them that worked here in his studio is no longer here, but they was putting messages out to the community. And brother, what makes you so great, not only is you running for the office of mayor, I got 1 minute. Now, we'll talk about that on the next show. So at this time, I'm honored to be able to come here, and I'm with two of the best brothers that I know in Portland, so I'm honored. So right now, I recite the Moorish American prayer. Allah, the Father of the universe, the Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my guide, and my salvation, by night and by day, through his holy prophet, Durrell Ali. Amen. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine.